My name is Dennis Rebeletti. I'm the Addison Township Supervisor, and we're very pleased to welcome the Mayor of Addison, along with a number of pastors and trustees from the various churches in Addison. We have invited them to come out to visit the food pantry and to understand where our concerns and needs are, and that they've been gracious enough to have a number of food drives at their parish, and I want them to see what happens here and invite them to learn more about our operation. So with that, we'll start up over here, if I may. So what you are walking in right now, for those of you from the Addison area, this is the Old Oak School. The Old Oak School was built in 1949 on Addison Road. It was two sections were added in 1951 and 1953. The first portion was actually a bomb shelter. This portion was built in 1953, and the event center, which was an old gymnasium, was built in 1963. Addison Township bought this in 1984, and this used to be, at one point it was classrooms, and then in 1985, the YMCA used to rent this out. This was a daycare facility. I became Township Supervisor in 2017, and one of the first missions we had was this was our food pantry, but again, what I'm trying to ask you to think about when you're looking here, this was a bunch of offices and old classrooms. So this was entirely demolished, this entire floor. This is about 5,000 square feet total on both sides. And it took us from maybe October or November of 2017, about 6 full months of construction. Most of that work was done in-house by our staff. Our highway department came in and chipped in, and we had some outside contractors. We ripped out the floor, tore down masonry walls. If you look behind you over here, this doorway was cut out. That doorway was cut out as well to accommodate skids to be moved around by our staff. When we first started out, we were very fortunate. We had a lot of food. This is what we called basically a little grocery store, and the Northern Illinois Food Bank requires us to have client choice. From this corner all the way down were the shelves like you see here. The back wall there was all refrigeration, and a little bit this way as well were vegetables, yogurt, milk, perishables were there. We had a check-in here, and all up and down these aisles were additional shelving units. And when we first opened up, most of our clients took home probably 2 shopping carts full of food. That continued on until the pandemic, where this became a distribution hub where we went from probably 75 families on our busiest weekends and the holidays, and maybe 50 families prior, to 600 families a week during its prime. So this actually became a distribution hub. This went from shopping to complete storage. And during the pandemic, all of these walls had commercial refrigeration. And I'll show you some of the refrigeration as we walk through. So that became, we used to receive 1 semi of produce a week from the federal government and another semi of milk. And we used that here, and then we shared that with 5 other food pantries and about 3 other townships. So they went from shopping to then distributing out where they would come in off of the Addison Road, where most of you came in off of, and then they would be driving through stations, and we would put food into their vehicles. Right now, to transition to coming back inside, we were packing food for everyone, anticipating having them come back to shop. But as I had a chance to address you a few weeks ago, if you see what we have here, we don't have enough even really to open up to shop. And things have changed. The dynamics have changed for us. Costs are way up. Donations are down, both monetary and food donation wise. And the selection at the Northern Illinois Food Bank, where we buy most of our food, is way down. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that when we have a chance to have a conversation. So this here is about 2,500 square feet. It was staffed at one time by my staff, as well as a number of volunteers from the parishes, as well as interactions with the high schools and the grade schools, so that we had constantly had different groups coming in here to help us run it. Because for those of you who saw it in its old operation, it was basically tantamount to a grocery store. Now things have changed a little bit, and so this is where we were at. This is after the purchase of about 14,000 pounds of food and distribution for about 2 weeks. So as you see, there's not a whole lot of selection, and there's not a lot left. And the prices for us, we used to spend about $10,000 a year. The township would give a grant to the foundation, our Addison Township Foundation, and we would get grants and donations from the community, and that was sufficient. We are now spending approximately $5,000 a month to provide milk and food, and you see how far that is going when we can source it. And thank you guys for bringing all your donations. It's greatly appreciated. We thank you on behalf of our clients and our staff here. As you see, they've brought a bunch of donations that we are in need of. I have been actively asking the community, and we're going to be making a big push over the next year to help us restock, as we will be continuing to help through the township side, but we'll also be out looking for donations from you guys as well as from the private sector. So with that, I'll take you guys on the rest of the tour, and thank you guys for coming. The local communities like Benson from Itasca, Dunkley here from Addison, Fisher Farms, Fisher School in Elmhurst and Bensonville. So these are the farmers that actually founded this township. And upstairs in my office and downstairs in storage in a safe are minutes from when we were founded 180 some odd years ago, 1850s. And I always tell people about the story where there are minutes where the township board votes to send flowers to a Union soldier's family because the Union soldier was killed in battle. So you can see how they started building the roads in here and dealing with subdivisions and all the different things that brought the township together. Obviously, there's now incorporated areas, so we have less of responsibility for that, but I just gave you a little bit of history. It talks a little bit here about our communities. We included some of the stuff about Township in Action, what we do, what we also programs we administer, so that will help you understand what our mission statement is. And if you look, there's a spring of 23 full color, 4-color thing about some of our upcoming events and previous upcoming events. Well, actually, these are current upcoming events, but only all the different programs and services that we offer here. So we have early vote site upstairs. Many of you may have voted here earlier, or your parishioners have. We do passports here. We have the food pantry. So right above us are my caseworkers. They help with rent assistance, mortgage assistance, LIHEAP, which is utility assistance. When people are facing water cutoffs from the villages, then the folks come here, and we are able to help them keep their water on. We have senior programming here, which is benefit access. We work with the with the Secretary of State's office for reduced license plates. We offer senior health insurance programs called SHIP. The seniors in your parishes here can talk to our counselors about what Medicare programs they should take. And we work with them to determine what their eligibilities are and what works best for them based on their medication. We have an assessor's office that establishes the valuation of everybody's property throughout the township. That's how values are set through here for the taxing bodies. And we have a highway department which takes care of the unincorporated areas throughout the township. So basically like the public works department for the village. There's also a page here on general assistance and emergency assistance. The emergency assistance is for rent assistance for people in need, but also one-time payments to help people usually maybe get car insurance, be able to get to work. A lot of it has to do, though, with rental assistance. The programs are vetted, and we don't give the money to the client. It goes to a landlord who has to sign paperwork that says they're in arrears and how much they're in arrears for. And we also work with not-for-profits, and we can also work with you to assist in helping find additional resources for those that may need help to keep them in their houses. So you'll see not only for household, to keep them in their households, but for rent, utilities, etc. I've also included in here the link to feed information, which is how you would register to become a client of ours. Nobody checks. The only thing we care about is that you're a resident of the township. We don't check immigration status. We don't verify income. However, you are required to give that information out, but I don't sit around here and make the final determination. There's a number of questions that are asked. How many members are in your household? Do you live in the township? The one thing we did do was when we worked with the villages, because a portion of the village goes into Bloomingdale Township, we included that small portion in over here so that we weren't saying part of Addison goes to one place, the other part should go somewhere else. So this is how any folks that you would know that would need help can go online. They have their number, that way they can show that identification on their phones, and we don't have to, otherwise people would say, oh, I lost my card, I can't find it. But you are allowed to come here twice a month, and that was up from once a month when I took over. We are down to right now, we are open once a week for distribution. And I say we're open once a week for distribution, which means from 9:30 to 11:30, you can come and pick up groceries, the pre-packed groceries. However, during regular hours, business hours here, we are part of the emergency assistance program, which means if you needed food today, we're not going to make you come back next Wednesday. You can get food one time, and if you're from the community, we'll work back with you to get you into rotation here. Even if you're from out of the jurisdiction, you are still eligible to get food from us, and then we would work with a neighboring township, church, community to get you situated from where you come from. So yesterday we had some folks coming from Des Plaines that were new to the country from Russia. We helped them out and then sent them to Maine Township because, again, it's not only about food, it's also about do they need social services, rent assistance, everything else, so that it's we make sure that when anybody that comes here does not leave here without the information they need, or that we're following up with that next agency to make sure that they've found their place at the county, another township or food bank, so that they are on the right path to getting back on their feet. So in the very back, I've given everybody a list of the non-perishable food items that we're always looking for. We have that on our Facebook page.
There is one on the website.
Okay, and the website. So our website is atcares.org. And what's for the food pantry, it's Addison Township Foundation on Facebook?
Yeah,
okay.
Addison Township Foundation and Food Pantry.
So we're also on Facebook. So if you guys have social media, you can find us, like the page, help get the information out there. But these are the things that we're always looking for, so you guys actually have the list. And now that I have all your emails, what I'm going to also try to do is, as things come in, is to make sure you guys are looped in on any changes on anything, so you can also share that with your congregants. So I was looking through some of our foundation numbers. So as I said, we spend about $5,000 a month on food and milk. That's just what we come up with. We do take donations. We have gotten donations from local businesses who have done food drives, donated turkeys, given us checks, which we're all greatly appreciative of. We have drives throughout the community. Different folks are doing for us. The one thing that I've indicated to you guys before is that we want to make sure that what we're taking in, it doesn't have expiration dates that pass. Some of you have asked about if we can take in non-perishable goods or perishable goods, and we cannot. I can only take in items that are non-perishable from the community. Otherwise, the state regulates us, the Northern Illinois Food Bank regulates us, and the DuPage County Health Department regulates us. And I can only take perishables from a grocery store or from the Northern Illinois Food Bank or from one of the other folks that are through that, like Amazon here in Wooddale. So we have been raising money, but we've been burning through it pretty quick. So as I indicated, we went from $10,000 a year in buying food to now that's about $10,000 every couple months. And that's to keep us like this. To the point where when we actually got eggs in not that long ago, and it was a little bit of a struggle here because the clients were concerned that they weren't going to get any. And so sometimes it becomes a little disorganized as the clients want to make sure that they get something and they're afraid they won't get it. So we do make sure all the portions are fairly given out. When we have extra, we give it out. But that's why I invited all of you here to see it in action, to see where we're at, and then kind of see where the vision was previously, and working with the village, and where we're at now. So,
did you say before that a while back that people used to get like 2 grocery carts? They still get that? 1? Couple bags?
See those bags that were in there? Those paper bags, depending on how much food we have, it's maybe 1 bag and a gallon of milk.
You know, that's the thing that really is a major concern, is that the supplies have dwindled to almost nothing, but the needs not lessened at all. So, you know, it's a call to action, and I remember somewhere someone once said, "Feed my lambs, feed my sheep." This seems to be what we need to be doing for our community, is pulling together. And I've said since I've been mayor, and you know, prior to that, the strength of our community is in working together. And you know, pulling the food pantry into one location, working together through the various churches seems to be the best way of really accomplishing the needs that we have in our community. So, you know, I really am grateful to all the pastors, all the churches that are involved, and we call it the Addison Advantage. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very fortunate to have support from the community. During the pandemic, the village sent over public works employees and police because we literally had both these parking lots were filled, and we needed traffic control. We had our highway department, the village. I mean, we had a lot of different stations people stopped at. We were very fortunate to be able to help them out. As a matter of fact, some of my staff, we were reminiscing about it, and everybody kind of shook their head going, I don't know how we did it. But
You were out there every week too.
I was out there. I was. So we were out there quite a bit, all my staff. So we didn't, we stepped up and did what the community would expect us to do. But now I'm asking for help from the community, and you guys are my best point of contact. And it's easier now. You've seen it. You understand, and you can explain it to your folks. They're more than welcome. You guys are more than welcome to bring folks here anytime. I'd like to coordinate something with the village, have more of a celebration here. If you guys would bless the food pantry, I think it's going to be our 5th year anniversary. Maybe have something outside here, and then invite everybody to come by and check it out. Maybe do a fundraiser or a food drive that day. But I think when you see it, it's different than what you think. I've had a friend recently tell us, myself and my wife, how they've been to a number of food pantries. This is probably the best one they've ever seen. So that's not a slight against anybody else, But we've spent a lot of effort, resources, as the mayor said, blood, sweat, and tears here to get this up and running and keep it as one of the top-notch ones. That has been recognized even throughout the state, as we've had state leaders come through here as well to show them what we do.
In talking to Pastor Bob earlier in the week, he's not here because he had a medical emergency, and keep him in your prayers. We hope it's nothing serious. But he had suggested that maybe we have an organized week every quarter where all the churches pull together and a designated week becomes the food drive in Addison throughout all the churches. And we could talk about that at our next church leadership meeting, but it would seem to me that would be a good way of kind of sustaining
Yes.
and building up the inventory.
Absolutely.
People don't really realize the need. We didn't realize it till we started the FACE program a couple of years ago. And we weren't even taking care of all the people. You know, it's just unbelievable how much there is. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
No, they don't. You know, you used to your environment, and you know, you go to a refrigerator when you're hungry, but there's a lot of people that just can't do that. Nor do they even have refrigerators for that matter.
Right, and with inflation, as I said at the Shape of Addison the other night, as the economy goes, so goes the township. So as the economy goes south, then you see a lot more activity here. Because now more and more people that never thought that they would find themselves in this circumstance are finding themselves in this circumstance. So we have a number of seniors that come here. We're always trying to make sure that everybody knows that they're welcome here. There's no judgments here. That's why it used to be more of a grocery store, where I remember little kids come with their parents and they could pick and choose what cereal they wanted, where now I don't even have cereal to give out. I mean, I have some, but you see that it's just not, it's individual containers. So 8.5% inflation pushes everything else up. It puts stress on households, and then they're finding themselves here, and we have limited resources ourselves. So we do definitely invest in the community. Previously, people were concerned, and back in the day, there was a group that was concerned about where the food would go. We don't worry about the food goes to somebody in Des Plaines. I don't think you guys are worried about if the person lives in a geographical area or not. That's not what we're concerned about. I don't think that's what you're concerned about. But we do make sure that your donations go right to our clients. It'll be sorted, put out, and it'll be right out next Wednesday. So, but again, we are open every day if somebody does need help on any given day. So
Do they need to call or just show up? Or?
they can just show up, but that's why that link to feed is in here, that you could sign up online. That's all kept by the Northern Illinois Food Bank. What the Northern Illinois Food Bank also does is share that with the USDA to show where need is throughout the country. Otherwise, they used to hire universities actually to go ahead and do studies about where they needed food at. Now this already shows where the assistance is needed.
Everywhere.
Correct.
You talked about other, you address also the other social needs, like, can you please explain briefly as to what are those?
Sure. So we deal with people who have financial emergencies. So we can help you with utilities. We can help you with rent assistance, with keeping your gas on. Depending on if you have a job and you need help with gas, we have gas cards. But once it's been vetted through our staff, so that people can get back and forth from work. So there are opportunities there, but people have to reach out to our counselors upstairs, social workers upstairs, and then they can work with them to see where they're at. But we also make sure they understand that they also have work to do themselves. So we work a lot with St. Vincent de Paul for things, for clothing. We used to have clothing here. It's hard for us to manage everything, and it's easier for us to give a voucher for them to go across the street to get stuff there. So we specialize in the food portion of it, and then they deal with the clothing part of it. But we have bought clothes for clients before. I can do that. We have done that. through our foundation and through a change in state law about, 5-6 years ago that allows me to do that. So there are things we can do, steps that we can do to get people situated right away until we can find more stable housing and stable financial circumstances.
We also have shelter homes and like for temporarily for people.
With emergency assistance, what I'm usually able to do is take somebody depending on what your financial circumstances are, we have taken families that are homeless and put them in neighborhood hotels in the township. And it's within my discretion as to how much we can give them and how we can keep them there. But during the pandemic, we were the ones working with the county to help homeless throughout the entire county. So we work with the local hotels here and to make sure that short-term homeless folks aren't kicked out of hotels so that they find themselves, especially in weather like this. Our gym upstairs, our event center, works also as a heating center and a cooling center. We worked with that when we had 50 below zero, if you remember, a few years back. It was staffed by police and fire and my staff. From time to time, our staff will call seniors that we worked with, and during the pandemic, we're calling local seniors to make sure that they were okay, since a lot of them, we had a lot of seniors coming out that were afraid to go shopping, so they would come here as an alternative. So.
Okay, so Dennis, we're here at the food pantry, and as we've talked on many occasions, the food pantry donations have dwindled significantly since the COVID crisis, and one of the things that is still very, very obvious is the need has not dwindled. And as we have shown the pastors of all of our major churches in town earlier today, the shelves are empty and the need is great.
It is. As the inflation has gone up, we've seen more folks come in here. We're at about 150 families a week, so think about 600 people a week that we're taking care of. Things are costing us a lot more. We're spending about $5,000 a month ourselves through our foundation in the township just to keep bare minimum things in here. Prices are up, selection is down, so the hope is that the community will step up as they always have and help us out. We're at atcares.org is our foundation's website. There's PayPal on there if you want to make a donation. The list of things we need are there if you want to drop off donations here at 50 East Oak. And the phone number here for the township is 630-530-8161 if you want to drop off some donations.
And in addition to being able to drop off food directly, the pastors over the last week had a food drive in each of their churches. They delivered that food today, and they've also agreed that they will be doing quarterly food drives throughout all the churches. So it's a good opportunity for not only parishioners and members of the different denominations in town to get involved at that level also.
Right.
Because the need continues to grow in our community.
It does, and I think it's great that they are making that type of commitment, and it's something that we look forward to partnering with them. And I think we're hoping that they'll all come out. We can do something in the spring, have maybe a re-grand opening, if you will, now that COVID has diminished, and an opportunity to really open up the food pantry, not only to the churches, but to their parishioners and to the residents to have a chance to see how things are going here and what they can do to be part of it.
And I think all of us joining together for this cause certainly underscores the Addison advantage.
It absolutely does. Everybody here works together. Everybody pulls the same direction and steps up for their neighbors. And I think it's a testament to the community. They've always been like that, and they continue to do that no matter what the circumstances are.
Well, thanks to you, to the township, and all the people that have been involved over the years.
Thank you, Mayor, for your support, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Great.